Hello, Disc Golf family. Welcome to episode number 25 of the Zen Disc Golf Podcast, and we've got quite a show for you today with two guests. A few podcasts ago, we mentioned the benefits of yoga for your disc golf game, and our pod was heard by yoga and disc golf enthusiasts Nance and Garin Wootton. Megan is a yoga instructor and all-round fitness guru with a passion for the sport, and she teamed up with like-minded friend and owner of disc golf apparel and now disc designer Garin Wooton of Black Zombie Disc Golf to deliver a video aimed to help disc golfers stay lean, mean, and flexible machines. Today's podcast is brought to you by some of our amazing and generous podcast contributors: Kevin Kugler from Wisconsin, Adam Kubiak, Pennsylvania, Adam Gowland from Ontario, Canada, and I hope I don't say these last two names wrong, but Jorn Kvig from Oslo, Norway, and Christopher Pedersen, also from Norway. If you would like your name mentioned here and to join the ranks of these and many other sponsors simply by donating one single PayPal dollar a month to help us keep making the show you love, please click the links in the podcast notes or head to zendiscgolf.com and follow the links on the right-hand side of the page. Every month, we reward our sponsors by pulling a name from a hat and sending them a $20 gift card to Infinite Discs as a thank you. It's a small investment, but it means the world to us. And now on to the show. Hello, disc golf enthusiasts. My name is Patrick McCormick. I wrote a little book about disc golf and life called Zen and the Art of Disc Golf, and I am joined here by two of my brothers from other mothers, DG Puttheads, Chris Bowden, and Mind Body Discs, Tim Stewart. How are you, gentlemen?
Good morning. Great to be here again.
Doing great, Pat. Doing great.
So awesome to have you join us here on this beautiful morning here in Virginia Beach. It's been raining for about 7 days straight, and this is the first day of sun. And of course, my phone is ringing. Hey, you want to go out to the course? Hey, you want to go out to the course? Hey, you want to go out to the course? No, I have to do a podcast this morning about talking about being on the course. I can't go play. But hey, worst problems, right? But hey, guys, today we have a unique show. We have two guests: disc golfer and yoga instructor Megan Nance and Black Zombie Disc Golf's Garin Wooton. A few weeks ago on our Disc Golf Fitness podcast, we mentioned the benefits of yoga and disc golf, and Megan contacted me. Unbeknownst to us, they had produced a yoga video specifically for disc golfers. So we're bringing them on the show today to talk a little bit about fitness off the course, talk about the benefits of yoga on disc golf and the mind as well. And also, Garen's going to talk to us a little bit about his company, Black Zombie. How are y'all?
Doing great.
Doing good, thank you.
Does that sound too Southern? How are y'all?
Thanks for having us on, man.
We are in Texas, so that's acceptable.
We're in Austin. We're really in Texas.
That's true. Good clarification.
Okay, just making sure. Before we get started talking to Megan and Garin, let's take some time for some discs and zen. I was playing a doubles round at Newport News disc golf course the other day with some friends of mine, and I suddenly had a new revelation. Most of this group are players that I've recently introduced to the game, and even though they had played the course several times before from the short tees, had never played from the long tees. We decided to try the long tees and add some variation, and also decided that the doubles would be a good starting point for playing a slightly longer course. We paired up stronger players with weaker players to ensure some balance in the game, and everyone was playing extremely well. I fully believe that switching up tees, baskets, and even the course is a great way to step out of the box and really see what you can do. For some reason, forcing yourself outside of routine seems to help you break out of complacency and help influence the mindfulness and focus that disc golfers need to play well. We stepped onto the long tee on hole number 8, and everyone looked stumped. For the first time, they encountered a tee box with no real clear line to the basket, just jail bars of trees and limbs. I watched as their confidence broke and my friends resigned themselves to double bogeys on the hole before ever driving off the tee. Then I stepped up on the box and I launched a right-hand backhand throw. The disc threaded through the trees and made a line closing in on the basket when all of a sudden it hit a tree and ricocheted hard left into what appeared to be the thickest part of the woods and almost ended up on another hole. Everyone immediately laughed with me, because I was laughing too, as they imagined how bad my current lie must be after that ricochet. My partner got ready to step up to the box and asked me, well, what should I do? Should I just play it safe and try and thread it through and get it there in the open? And I replied, telling him it sounded like a good idea. He stepped up on the box and gave a nice soft toss and landed the disc in the open about 75 feet ahead. The shot was not far, but it was safe. Everyone congratulated him on the throw, and the group began to push forward. I guess we'll be using my shot, he said, believing that he was stating the obvious. I answered him, well, maybe, let's see. He laughed, believing I must be joking. We both walked up to the disc and noticed that while he was in the open, we still had about 125 feet left to travel, and that there were trees surrounding the basket that might pose a problem. He got ready to put his mini down when I said, wait a minute, let's see if mine's any better. And he looked at me and said, you must be joking. He was looking at me like horns were coming out the sides of my head. Just hold on, I replied, laughing, and headed towards my disc, which had cut hard left and laid in what appeared to be the thickest part of the woods. When I got to my disc, much to my surprise, I realized that my lie was not bad at all. As a matter of fact, I had a clear 30 or so foot shot at the basket. What I thought was my worst drive ever on this hole turned out to probably be one of the best, and I yelled back, let's go with mine. Again, my partner swore I had to be joking with him. He headed my way, leaving his bag and disc behind, swearing that his disc must have the better line. When we got to my disc, he looked at the clearing and said, whoa, great shot. He returned to his bag, picked it up, and headed back to my disc in the woods. Together, we birdied the hole. And the moral of the story is you can't always judge a shot from the tee box. You must see the shot from your disc's perspective before you can make any judgments about your lie. After throwing my disc from the tee, I watched its beautiful flight being knocked off its line, and I could have gotten mad, kicked my bag, and cursed the tree for disrupting my flight, but I didn't. I've seen many times in this game what appears to be a bad shot from the box might just be one of the best shots you've ever made. Because winning isn't always about relying on your perspective on the tee. It's about taking each shot as it goes and seeing each shot from the disc's perspective. In life, we believe we make judgments solely based on our five senses: touch, taste, smell, hear, and see. And in fact, our actual judgment using our sense input are then run through a filter of our experience and what we've learned in the past. So beginning with my senses, I watched my disc having a beautiful flight. I saw it hit a tree. Filtering it through my past experiences, in the past, hitting trees has been bad for my game. Probably bad for yours too. My final judgment, this shot went bad. I probably have a bad lie. While our senses are the only way that we can receive information, our final judgments may not necessarily reflect the actual situations we have in our lives. With our eyes, we may not see clearly. With our ears, we may not hear acutely. My hands are cold, I may not be able to feel something perfectly. Our senses are never perfect, yet they form the basis of our understanding of the world. Then they get even more messed up as we filter them through experiences that have nothing to do with our current situation. And this leads to many misunderstandings in our lives. And when we make judgments or decisions based on this, they may be clouded or downright irrational. So what's the solution? One word: understanding. Understanding means knowing that you don't always have perfect information, that none of us are perfect in general, that just because you see something is wrong doesn't mean another person does. Understanding means coming to terms with our own imperfections and the imperfections of those around us by stepping off of our personal T-pads into the perspective of the disc or another person. And it means compassion and forgiveness for ourselves and for others. So don't be so hard on yourself when things don't seem to be going your way. When you lock yourself in your own perspective only, you may not see how great you are doing, how far you have come, and how close you are to achieving what you want. And that's just another tool for your disc golf bag. So as I mentioned, today we have Megan, Nance, and Garin Wooton, and they're here to talk to us today a little bit about yoga, disc golf, just whatever comes up in their minds. So go ahead and lead. Megan, how did you get involved in disc golf and yoga? I know that's two separate stories.
Yeah, a little bit. I've been involved with the sport of disc golf. It pretty much since I was a kid. I used to go out and play when I was in high school. And then when I met my husband, he was very much into the disc golf lifestyle. And as we've grown older, he's become much more connected to the disc golf community, and kind of by default, I've become involved in the community as well. He plays lots of tournaments, and disc golf is his life. So when I was doing my yoga teacher training, he was starting to have a little bit of more aches and pains that came up when he was throwing and after his rounds. So I was helping him through yoga, show him how to open up his hips a little bit more, how to strengthen his core, and went through lots of yoga poses that were really beneficial for his practice. And that's kind of where my idea began of really making a unique yoga practice for disc golf players.
Right on. And Garin, switching over to you, how did you become involved in disc golf?
I started playing right after high school. Some buddies of mine turned it on to me, and I like being outside anyway, away from the TV and walking trails or camping and hiking. And I can't tell you how passionate I was instantly with disc golf, because when I was out in the woods, walking around, throwing frisbees with my buddies, it kind of gives you that experience you might have. You take a big camping trip somewhere, but you can do it like an hour and a half or 2 hours.
Sure.
So I quickly fell in love with it, have a huge passion for disc golf, been playing since the early 90s. And honestly, just like you progress in life on the disc golf course, I kept wanting to get better. And the only way you get better is you take care of your mind and body. So I've always had kind of a busy lifestyle, kind of like take care of yourself and help other people out. So me, as I progressed, not only have I taken care of myself on and off the course with the help of disc golf, kind of make me focus on life better, but I've been trying to get back to the community, whether it's disc golf or whoever, trying to get them inspired to take care of themselves and stay busy as well.
Yeah, you guys sound like perfect guests for our show. Just have an interest, a passion for disc golf, and also can see the crossover back into life and mind, body health. So how did you two come together?
So I've been into yoga for, I guess, about 10 years, and it's been like kind of a way I can deal with stress, which is way better than any medication on the market. And I try to tell my friends that when they're stressed out, and they kind of laugh at me like, oh yeah, whatever. But that was like 10 years ago. Now more people are accepting yoga, whether it's a guy or girl. And so for me, managing stress through yoga was a beautiful thing. And then I started thinking, man, when I'm on the disc golf course and I'm stressed because of a shot, I just missed a putt or I shanked a drive, the yoga really helps me just kind of breathe, take it in, let go, and go on to the next shot. So I've been into the yoga thing, trying to figure out how I can put those things together. And I even thought, man, if we could just get more people educated on doing yoga that are disc golf players, it'll help their game out.
Sure.
So I had a guy that was willing to do the video for us, Young Blood Productions, those guys are amazing. And happened to come across Megan, and she was thinking the same thing on a level of she's a yoga instructor and she can do it. So we're like, you know what are we waiting for? Let's put it together.
Yeah, I think the universe brought us together right at the right time. And we both were very excited about this, and we both were thinking about what we could do for the disc golf community. And we are involved in the same kind of disc golf community down here in Austin. And we just right off the bat started talking, and we just started planning from day one about how we were going to make this happen. And we had such an incredible support from the community, from our disc golf community, and from people wanting to help make this project a reality. And it was just good timing. The stars were aligned.
Yeah, within a month, we had the video already filmed and just waiting for Youngblood to put together. When it came out, we're just super excited.
I have a quick question for you. what is yoga to you guys? Because yoga is so many different things to so many different people, and people who have not been exposed to what yoga is have preconceived notions about what yoga is. In the Eastern world, it's something completely different than what it is here in the United States. So if you would, both of you, just give me what's your definition of what yoga is.
Yoga for me is, it's really a lifestyle. It's not necessarily my time on the mat or however many hours that I go out and practice every week. It has really, it's changed my life in a lot of ways, especially as I've grown older. It's helped me to deal with a lot of negative emotions in a productive way and to channel those emotions. And instead of getting upset or getting anxious or getting mad about why I feel a certain way, yoga allows for the space for me to sit with those feelings and to see where I can go with those and what I can do with those. So it's really something that comes off of the mat and comes into my life in a lot of the decisions that I make and a lot of the choices that I make, and really just in my relationships overall. And it's kind of laid the foundation of where I'm going to with helping people with their overall health and fitness. I'm really able to connect with people a little bit more than I ever was before I had yoga, because I have much more awareness of how my relationships can benefit somebody else and how we can, I don't know, I'm kind of rambling. You're going to have to edit.
No, you completely have exercised my point that yoga is this all-encompassing concept. It's not just this exercise. It's not just, stretching or poses. Using your definition, I could have called my book Yoga in the Art of Disc Golf. So, but like in the Eastern world, yoga, as far as I know, means unity. Is that correct?
Yeah, yoke or union.
Yeah. So,
and it's really just the union of your mind, your breath, your body. And that's yoga by definition is not an exercise. Yoga asana is the poses. So that is, when you go through the 8 limbs back in Sanskrit, when yoga was first in India, when it was first developed, you don't even get to yoga asana until the 3rd limb of yoga. So you actually, it's focusing on your thoughts and your breath before you even do a downward facing dog.
Awesome. Oh, how about you, Garin? What is yoga to you?
For me, it's about focus, because in today's lifestyle, especially, it seems like we're all so scattered as far as whether it's family or work or stress or traffic or whatnot. And I think a lot of us, I speak for myself for sure, have a hard time getting rid of the static and not focusing on the things that are important or positive. And so when I practice yoga, when I started practicing it, not only did I get that feeling of euphoric, because when you're doing yoga poses, you're in a position where you're only thinking about what you're doing right then and there. And my kids and things can be going on around me, but I can focus and I kind of feel like I'm not even in the same room anymore. So that translates when I'm playing disc golf or even in traffic, that my brain, my mind is able to get rid of that static that affects your disc golf shots or how you react in traffic. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's sharpening my focus on things that are important. And when I talk about disc golf, it's very important to focus on those shots. And you see some of those top pros that may be already naturally good at it. Mm-hmm. For me, I get all these distractive thoughts, whether it's the last putt I missed or last drive or something happened at work. But with yoga, I'm able to get rid of a lot of that stuff, and I have a lot cleaner mind when I'm on the course and a lot cleaner shots.
What I'm gathering is if you put everything together, for you guys, yoga is this lifestyle that revolves around mind-body awareness and basically a concept of mindfulness, which is what I articulate in the book. If seen in the right light, that disc golf can actually be used as a vehicle for mindfulness. Would you agree that disc golf could be used in the same way as a vehicle for yoga?
For sure.
Yeah.
I've seen disc golf save a lot of people or get them on the right path over the years. People who had made bad decisions, but once they get on the disc golf course, they start thinking about how they can make their game better, which means they try to make their life better. So disc golf for sure is a intro to yoga thinking, even if they're not doing yoga, but it's still a yoga type lifestyle. So that's how I can see they really go hand in hand. So the disc golfers, I think if they would embrace yoga even a little bit, I think they would see that it would actually strengthen both sides, the disc golf world and the yoga side.
I just thought of something that really, it can be disc golf and yoga kind of parallel in my mind of they can be healing for people. And I've worked with a lot of people who've been through really traumatic experiences. I have a long history of working with active duty military and veterans. And I've seen how people who suffer from PTSD or from anxiety disorder or depression, I've seen them able to come out and to connect and push themselves a little bit outside of their comfort zone through yoga and also through disc golf. And it's really cool to watch that. And it's one of my passions to help people heal themselves. And like Garin said, not just rely on some medication that's only going to mask the symptoms until it doesn't work anymore. And it's really about pushing yourself and getting yourself out there and being a little bit more comfortable with what you can do today, and then coming back, showing back up tomorrow, and being okay with that. And it's just been cool to watch.
And the beautiful thing about yoga too, which if you think about it, the people who have never done yoga, is you don't have to go to a yoga class. You don't have to be around people doing yoga. You can get you a video or probably, stream it online, get you a mat and just do it by yourself. Just check it out, because sometimes starting by yourself and no one in the room might be the best way to get that focus going.
Sure. Fantastic. And what we're going to do is we're going to share your video on all of our social media prior to the show coming out. So hopefully it'll expose all of our listeners and our social media friends to the concepts that we're talking about here. I do want to get a little bit more into, we've talked about some of the mind aspects of yoga. I want to get into some of the physical aspects of yoga. We talked just a little bit about it prior. I definitely watched the video a couple weeks ago. I watched it again this morning, and I think I'm going to actually practice it when we get off the podcast, because I need it today. I'm feeling extra stiff, and I need to get some yoga done today. When you were putting together the video, how did you come up with the poses that would be applicable to a disc golfer? How did you mold that together?
Well, I wanted it to be very user-friendly and non-intimidating. I didn't want disc golfers to be scared or to be put off by yoga might have a certain reputation, or people might think that it's only for super skinny people or a certain demographic, and they might not think that yoga is for them. And I have a really big passion about bringing yoga, truly showing everybody how they can access yoga into their life and how it can benefit them. And especially athletes, because I think it's a great cross-training practice to help prevent injury and help to really just enhance your training for whatever you're doing. So I just thought about some poses that I knew that were beneficial for a lot of the injuries that I was seeing some of my friends have, and my husband had as well. And disc golfers tend to have very tight hips. They might have some problems with their shoulders, or their upper body might get stiff. And since disc golf, throwing a disc is really, it all comes from your core, and you want to build that from the ground up, I wanted to find some poses that could really help to establish that strong core and that awareness of where your power is coming from and how you can build that up. So I also went with some really familiar yoga poses as well that I thought that people would be able to access. And we're not doing any handstands or any long shavasanas or anything like that. So it's very user friendly. Anybody can do it. You don't have to be super flexible. You don't have to you don't have to ever have taken a yoga class before to be able to practice this practice.
I really liked how a lot of the people in the video were just wearing their normal disc golf clothes, and you could tell they weren't dressed up in any stereotypical yoga fashion. So I think that really speaks to your philosophy of anybody can do it and to not scare anybody off. I think that was a great idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the biggest challenge I found for getting people interested in yoga, especially guys, because being honest, it seemed like it's a girl's thing, and you think, oh, that's not hard. They're just sitting there or staying there in a different pose. But it's a pretty intense thing to do. It's really good with, making yourself limber and stretching out the muscles. And you get not only the body effects, but also the mind effects. And so me having the black zombie cool platform, I'm thinking, you know what, maybe I can trick these people. I hate to say tricking, but really it's kind of like, hey, check this out. Because once they're in, they're like, oh, I'm glad you tricked me because this is really cool and really beneficial. And I've had people contact me back and say, man, thanks, Garin. You actually helped me shave strokes off my round, or by the end of the second round, the second day they're playing, they still can play with the same level they were before. So it really has benefits, and I'm seeing people thinking it's cool enough to do, and once they get the benefits, they're like, you know what, this is cool.
That brings up a question for me, which is, I've been doing yoga for quite a while. I start pretty much every day with it, and I saw a lot of people in that video, and they like Chris said, they just seem like the normal folks you'd meet on the disc golf course. What types of benefits to their game have they kind of reported? Because I know one of the things that keep people from doing yoga is they're like, well, I don't want to meditate or whatever other preconception they have of yoga. And I found some very practical, real world benefits to my scorecard. Specifically from doing yoga. Have you seen those types of results from the folks that have kind of been doing this for with you?
The biggest benefit, I think, is being more aware of your body. No matter how you dice it up, whether it's because you have more, you can open your chest more, your hip flexors aren't as tight, you feel more grounded on the ground, but it really just brings you in touch, mind and body. And I think that goes a long way in the disc golf course, because sometimes we make a mistake. We're really making a mistake because the signals from the brain to the body aren't really doing what we thought we're going to do, but doing yoga puts those things together so you're actually one.
Let's talk about yoga as a way for us to, like we said, get better on the course, to reduce injury, which I think is very important, and as a more balanced way to get our bodies balanced better. And what I mean by that is, a couple episodes ago, Tim was talking about how you need to have some kind. Disc golf is a one-sided body exercise, and you have to somehow find a way to get the other side of your body involved. And this past week, I was able to go, and my fire company went out and we did driving range at a ball golf driving range, and I hadn't hit an actual golf ball in probably over a decade. And I tell you what, when I left, I could feel it. And I'm like, well, I'm on the disc golf course every day, but it's that other side of the body. So that absolutely, like as Tim was saying, you got to work that other side of the body. So let's talk a little bit about how physically yoga can help shave strokes off the sport. And then we'll talk about how it can help prevent injury.
Well, I think first, disc golfers underestimate how much abuse they put on their body and how much of a real sport disc golf is. And I think even though people who don't play disc golf may view disc golf as not a real sport, as some say, I think that kind of gets in the heads of the disc golfers, and they forget to remind themselves that it really is an intense sport. You really are putting your body and mind through a lot when you're on the course, focusing on your shots, whipping your arms around, moving your hips, walking through the course with a backpack that might be 35 pounds. So I think first thing a disc golfer has to do is remind themselves they're playing a real sport, and they need to take care of their body like a real athlete.
For sure. And it is so true that it is a one-sided sport, and you start to favor that side then in everything that you do throughout your day. So you're always leading. If you're throwing with your right hand, you might notice that you're always leading with your right foot, or when you're standing, you're leaning over to your right side. And in yoga, we do everything on both sides of the body. And when you go through a yoga class, it's really, we talk about the awareness that you start to get to start to feel about your body. And when you do a certain pose on one side of your body and then you stand up before moving to the other side, you will notice how much longer your arm feels or how much open your right side hip feels until you go and balance that out on the other side. I think that's a huge thing, because just like with any athlete, you have to do some cross training.
Yep,
absolutely. You can't just, if you're a runner, you can't just run every single day. If you're a swimmer, you can't just swim every day. If you're, a boxer, you can't just box every single day. You have other muscles that you need to work to get that overall balance and wellness with your whole body, so that you have that whole body wellness going, and not just that you can, lift or that you can run. So I think that it's really important to also do a different type of exercise than you're used to, because it's, again, pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone a little bit, doing something that you might not love. I mean, I don't love cardio, but I do it every single day. Well, I do now, but it's just doing something that's going to challenge you, and it's going to push you to be a little bit better, and better not just with your disc golf game, but also in your life.
And we have one specific story from the video when we were there getting things set up. We're throwing drives out in the field, and one of the guys there had never done disc golf ever. And he's a AM player, but he's decent as an AM player, and he's throwing shots out in the field, kind of back and forth with me. After we finished the video, he literally was throwing about 75, 80 feet further on his drives. And it could be the fact that he was more in tune with his body, or his pecs were opened up, because a lot of the stuff we did as far as open up the pecs, the shoulders, and the hips. So he not only noticed that he was throwing them longer and straighter, but he also felt better about throwing. Like, he felt like he was in tune with his body. He's like, man, Garin, I came out here just because I thought it'd be cool to support you and do the Black Zombie yoga video and whatnot, but he was kind of blown away at the instant results he got.
So there was immediate benefit to doing the yoga that could be seen on the disc golf course. That's really cool.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you do a lot with opening up your pecs and opening up your whole body. I think there's a lot of disc golfers that go out there and just see it as throwing a lightweight piece of plastic and don't realize how much torque you're putting on your body also. Not only the one-sidedness, but you end up putting a lot of torque on your core, and that's a lot of strain on your shoulder. I don't think a lot of the disc golfers realize how much pressure that is on your shoulder and how opening it up can help. Do you have any insight on how yoga can help with all that torque and the strain you're putting on your body?
Well, of course, it works on the smaller muscle fibers in the body. So if you go to the gym and you press heavy weights, you're working on certain muscle fibers. If you're throwing your disc or whatnot, you're also working on certain parts of the muscle. But if you're doing yoga, you're working on those intricate little small muscle fibers that you don't usually initiate. And that's kind of what makes up some of that core strength, not just of your core itself, but other parts of your body, like your pecs or your pelvic muscles. But all those things actually are built up by those smaller nerve fibers. And I think that we miss out on those things that not just make us better as an athlete, but also prevent us from getting injured.
That makes a lot of sense.
Let me ask you, and we just had a puppy incident, so that was some of that background. What's your dog's name?
There's Maya and Franklin. The UPS guy was here, so we had to alert the neighborhood.
Well, we're glad we could have him on the podcast as well. I have one last question for you, yoga related. If you could recommend a 5-minute pre-round routine to people who know nothing about yoga, what would that look like? So like we have just somebody who has no idea about yoga, so we can't use like too much yoga terminology, but there's something that they could do on the first tee to make sure that they're well stretched and prevent injury before they go out for the round. What would that 5-minute routine look like?
So I would start with just coming to wherever you're going to throw, whether it be coming to the tee pad or just finding a space on your way out there that you can just take a few minutes, go out, and you don't need a yoga mat or anything. Just find a good level ground that you can stand on and see if you can feel the connection from your feet down to the ground. And you can still feel that through your shoes, so you don't have to take your shoes off. And from there, just start to root from the ground up. So standing tall and tucking your pelvis kind of underneath you so that it's in line. It's not shooting out, or you're not hunched over and your butt isn't sticking back. But if you think of like you had a metal rod and you could just stick the metal rod all the way down your body so that you were standing perfectly straight. And then taking a couple breaths and rolling your shoulders up and just putting them on your back, rolling your shoulders so that you're opening your chest up. That in itself will help you to get some awareness of how you're holding your body and what is sore and what feels like you maybe need to do this a little bit more often, because we're driving all the time, we're texting all the time, we're on the phone all the time, on the computer, and we're all just constantly hunched over. So just standing up straight, opening your chest and opening your shoulders up are really going to help you. From there, and in the video, we use our disc as kind of a yoga prop. And
I saw that. I like that.
We use the disc to kind of get some extension on the stretches that we're doing. So you don't want to go out there and just start doing really deep lunges or anything like that, because those are static stretches. You want to make sure that you're warmed up. So using a disc to get some extension is a great tool that you can use. And just reaching your arms up over your head and bringing your right arm back behind you in between your shoulder blades, and then holding onto the disc, and then bringing your left arm underneath to pull that disc will help to open up give some stretch to your pecs and help you with your alignment and with your just your awareness and everything. And then of course you want to repeat that on the other side. So you would want to lift your left arm up over your head, put your left arm in between your shoulder blades, bring your right arm back up to meet it, and use that disc in the center if your hands don't touch each other. It took me a long time for my hands to touch. So
I'm doing everything you're saying as you're describing it.
At your new standing desk.
Yeah,
you guys can see me. I have to do it as I'm talking through it. So
no, but I'm feeling the benefit, because, like I said, I'm still stiff from going out and hitting golf balls the other day. But I can recap that a little bit. So we want to stand tall. So you recommend just kind of standing tall. We want to start rolling our shoulders, recognizing any discomfort that we have, seeing where we may need to pay a little bit more attention to. See, I was typing as you were going. We want to reach our arms overhead, kind of stretch out a little bit that way, and then stretch our arms behind our back using a disc to kind of get that good amount of reach. Does that sound good?
That sounds like you could be a yoga teacher. Yeah. You could be out there leading this practice for everyone.
And I think one of the biggest benefits in yoga is learning how to breathe. So some of the most simple ways to really get into yoga, even if you haven't done it, you want to go out, say you have a tournament this coming weekend and you're going to be playing, but you don't want to do yoga in front of everybody. Just think about your breaths. Hold your disc in your hand, close your eyes, think about the shots that you might be having coming up, and just take your deep breaths and think about how your body feels. So you really just want to become one with the body. And that alone will get you prepared for that first shot off the tee.
Just something cool, a cool story to share. After we dropped the video, actually, I don't even think it had been dropped yet. We had filmed it, but it wasn't up yet. But there was a lot of talk about it in a lot of the clubs. And I go around to a lot of the disc golf tournaments here, and I sponsor some events, and I've actually gone to several disc golf tournaments and done this yoga class with the disc golfers in between their rounds. And the first time I did it, the tournament director was kind of very much like, oh, if you want to do that, that's cool, but don't be disappointed if nobody shows up. I don't think anybody will show up. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. No
That's
problem.
negative.
I don't care if anybody shows up. Well, I don't want to say anything negative about him because he's awesome. But it was just the concept, like, disc golfers don't do yoga. That's weird. And when we did the yoga practice, I think we had 60 people show up to do it the first time.
Wow.
So,
That's awesome.
60.
That's really cool.
and we just got so much awesome feedback immediately. People were coming up to me after the rounds like, my second round was awesome because of this. I'm going to do this. This is so cool. I've never done yoga before. And they also was primarily men. I think there was one female there. And so many of the male players were excited that they could find something to get their wife out to join them to do. And they were very excited that maybe their wife might want to come out and do the yoga and play around. So I thought that was pretty cool. And, I'm going to be out at quite a few tournaments this summer, and I might see you guys somewhere. I'd love to connect, and I'd love to bring this to tournaments out there and show you guys really personally how you can do yoga and how it can help your game.
Nice. And thank you so much for
That'd
that.
be cool.
Yeah.
That's really neat to hear.
Awesome. So I want to move on just a little bit here, and I want to talk to you, Garin, about your company, Black Zombie. Can you tell us about first of all, the name Black Zombie? Where that see, that sounds like such a whole different thing than yoga. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But hey, before I wrote,
we had to badass the yoga up a little bit.
Yeah, we had to make it cool.
well, I was getting ready to say, I was a metal singer before I wrote Zen in the Art of Disc Golf, so I totally get it. And I asked you before the show, are you a White Zombie fan? but you have your own explanation of Black Zombie. So I'd like to hear about where that name came from, what the evolution of your company is, and where you're going with it.
Yeah, so if I can maybe say it as short as possible. So in 1999, whenever everyone's kind of getting into the internet thing and buying domain names, I was looking at buying different things that might be cool in the future that I might want to work with. And my favorite color has always been black. And even back then, I was into like biochemistry and biology and stuff like that. And I really liked the idea of zombies being like the only real monster that's out there. And so I was just searching, trying to see what was available, and blackzombie.com was available. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take that. Maybe I'll do something with that later because I just think it's cool. Fast forward to 2013, I'm like deep into disc golf, and I want to give back to a sport that's really helped me and I have a big passion for. So I'm like, you know what? Disc golf is really missing flavor, missing other companies having shirts and hats and things that they can show off, not just on the course, but off the course as well, to show people like, you know what, I'm proud of this sport. This is what we are out there. We're not just out there throwing frisbees in the woods. We're actually slaying baskets. It's a real sport.
Nice.
This is kind of how we feel. So I'm trying to capture that spirit of disc golf, kind of like Ocean Pacific captured the surfer spirit.
Okay.
And if I can capture that, I think that we can wear that out and about and show off the sport in general and really make that crossover to where other people who don't play the sport will get, not necessarily a newfound respect, but a new understanding of what disc golf is. And that's been my goal from when I first started it. But it's really all my ideas of wanting to be outside and being busy. I can use this as a platform to kind of encourage people, hey, get out and do something outdoors. Even if you're just walking in the park or getting out of the house somehow, that's great. But if you want to do something athletic while you're walking, try disc golf. So I've turned on so many people, and I think that the Black Zombie kind of being a little more hardcore is almost like, I said trick before, because it's almost like getting them, hey, come on, this is really cool, check it out. And they get out there, and it really is awesome, but it's hard to get some of these people on the course because they have a different mindset of what disc golf actually is.
Sure. So you're trying to get them over that hump, and you get them over that hump with that aspect of coolness. I like that.
Yeah.
Slaying baskets.
I love the hats that you got up there too. Those the snapback hats, the lids that you got are pretty awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, we almost sold out the first week I had them.
I can't say I'm surprised.
We are a hot company out there. Not like a huge company yet, but I can feel the seams bursting. And just last year, I didn't know I was going to be making a disc, but I talked to Gateway Disc Golf Sports. And I'd heard about them kind of work with other companies making discs. So I talked to them, and long story short, I spent 4 months designing a brand new disc, and it was actually very similar to the Wizard. So it's the top of the plate is a Wizard, the bottom we redesigned. So it's a beadless wizard, and the feedback I'm getting is phenomenal. And I have people messaging me saying, "Hey man, thank you so much. You shaved off strokes. Not only do I like the way the putter feels, but it flies so straight and so true. Whether it's like a hyzer line, a straight line, an anhyzer line, it just holds its line." So just
I saw that you have that available in a number of different plastics. What different plastics you have that available in, and which is your favorite?
Well, they use vulcanized rubber, so it's a lot like Vibram. So if people aren't really familiar with Gateway, Vibram uses rubber instead of plastic. So they feel really kind of a tacky, whether it's raining or it's hot or cold, they still have that tacky feel. So you get that true disc golf feel in your hand. And my favorite is kind of where the flight plate is a little bit flexible, but the edge is stiff. So we have a good grip, so you can use it as a driver or a putter. And I knew that I could make a good putter because we went back and forth so many times. I even drove my kids to St. Louis from Texas just to check it out. Wow. But when it came out and I started hearing the feedback, I'm like, you know what? We really created one of the best putters in the market.
Nice.
That's great to hear. We're going to try to order one and we'll review one from the Puttheads pretty soon because that sounds amazing. I've used Wizards for a number of years and I love seeing variations of Wizards. So we'll be trying that soon.
Awesome. Yeah, I love the Wizard.
Garin, that was a great transition into our product reviews. Did you want to say anything else about Black Zombie? Obviously, we're going to put all the links that we've talked about in our show notes and encourage everybody to go check out both the yoga video on Vimeo and your company.
Well, I'd like to say that I've always been a very inclusive person. I don't judge people, and I think sometimes, not brands in disc golf, but different brands or different groups of people kind of brand themselves as, hey, this is what we are. And me, I've always been open-minded. Like, I don't care who it is as part of the group as far as who's into Black Zombie or who's playing disc golf with me. I just think it's neat that everyone collaborates around disc golf itself. And so as far as the Black Zombie team that I launched 2 weeks ago, the pro team, nice. I think it's a really beautiful thing whenever we are just open to everybody. We don't have attitude. Kind of one of the things I look at in disc golfers is the ones who don't kick their bag, don't get upset, are out there to have a good time, but also focus and be the best they can. Mm-hmm. And I think that open door kind of makes people feel better about the sport in general because it's like an open-minded sport, so it should be open-minded, the company. That's
definitely what we try to encourage here on the podcast and in everything we do. And when I found Chris and when I found Tim, first of all, I decided, hey, I can't beat these guys, so I'm going to have them join me. But yeah, we all have that mentality. What do you have for us there, Tim, to review?
Well, I've got something that I won't be as specific as I thought I was going to be, but I'm going to recommend that everybody out there use some type of a scoring app on their phone or some way to keep score outside of their head. You know, as we were talking about the yoga, one of the benefits that I really find of yoga is that when you're doing yoga and when you're doing certain poses especially, you really have to be dead set in the here and now. And you can't be elsewhere in your mind. And that's one of the big mental strengths that I think it really helps you with out on the course. And one of the things that I find also helpful out on the course is if I can get the score out of my head and into something else, that's one less thing that's taking up my mental, concentration ability while I'm out on the course. So it's nice to be able to finish a hole, put the score into the app, and then completely forget about your score. Don't have to think about your score for the round. Don't have to think about your score for the last hole. And there's a few different apps out there that are really good. I personally use the UDisc app. We had I know you had the gentleman who wrote the UDisc app program on the show before. I would tell you that our friends over at Infinite Discs are launching a new app as we speak, and have got some really cool programs going on for some rewards and some points on their website for being a beta tester for their app. So definitely head on over to infinitediscs.com and check out their new app. They've got some really cool, Alan's got some really cool stuff that you don't find in any other app in that app. So
he hasn't told me that. That's cool.
Yeah, it's a super double secret. Just debuted it at the GBO when I was there, so I happened to see it there. They were signing up beta testers there, and nice. It's really cool. They've got their own rating system for your rounds, and it's a really cool app. But even if you don't use any of the other features of the apps, I really think the benefit of getting the score out of your head someplace else that you can really just be in the here and now on the course and just concentrate on your throw is a huge benefit. So I'm going to recommend a scoring app this week.
Now, just a side question for that, just to play the devil's advocate. So with having to pull your phone out every time, do you not feel like that takes you out of the mindfulness?
When I first started doing it, what I would find, because I honestly, even before I started using a scoring app, I never kept score anyway. So I've got a little touch of ADD, I think, in that I never wanted to keep score anyway, and I was just out to see good throws. Mm-hmm. I started using an app because I wanted to start seeing and tracking improvement, but I didn't want to keep score in my head. So honestly, the first bunch of times I used it, I would get to, hole 12 and remember to pull out the phone and go, oh, I haven't logged my score for the last 8 holes, and I couldn't tell you what I got on any of them. So once you get into the habit, now it's just an automatic thing. I reach in my back pocket, I grab my phone, I log the score, I put the phone. It's almost like just picking up your mini. You don't have to think about picking up your mini or putting your disc back in your bag. It's just a part of play at this point. So I think it's just something you have to start doing, and it'll take a little bit of adjustment, but once you do it, it just becomes part of the day. You don't have to think about it.
Sure. And so the key with that is when you pull it out to throw your score in, don't check Twitter, don't check Facebook, don't check your email, send off,
Yes, that is very important.
So Chris, what do you got for us today?
First, I want to plus one Tim's recommendation. I can't stand carrying around. I've even tried clickers for keeping my score, and I've tried scorecards, but my phone's always on me one way or another. And you're right, the key is don't check all your social media accounts. But especially for me, I take pictures on almost every hole. I mean, we do a lot of publishing anyway, but it's so much easier. I just have my phone on me anyway, and I don't have to worry about keeping any sort of scorecard around. So on to my product. Over the last episodes, I've been reviewing products that I really liked. So I'm going to change it up a little bit, and I'm going to review a product that honestly I don't really like a lot, but this is kind of an iconic figure in the disc golf world. It's probably about 10 years old now. The Turbo Putt by Quest AT, and I got to start out by saying this is honestly one of the worst discs I've ever thrown, but it is also one of the most fun. I've really not been able to find a good use for it. Even for turbo putting, I don't like it for turbo putting, but it's got that it's got that thumb track on the inside that's kind of like a spiral. And I can't do a normal turbo putt, but if I turn my hand just a little bit and I kind of throw off my thumb, I can get a little bit of a decent throw. Rodney figured that one out. Almost throwing a side arm up over the top. It's interesting, but it's got those teeth on the top that are about an inch apart. So it's just a strange shape. Now it does catch the chains very well because of the teeth, but any other way you throw it, the weight is all out of balance because of that big thumb track that spirals into the middle. So it's very heavy in the center and light on the outside. So when you throw it any way other than the turbo, well, even when you're throwing it like a turbo putt, it turns hard, a lot harder than you would expect. And then toward the end, it fades back. But it turns so much that you can't put much power into it. Otherwise, it turns and burns. And actually, it makes a decent roller because it bounces off the teeth. But it's one of the most awkward discs I've ever thrown. But it's so different that it's a lot of fun. A while back, I did a comparison of Star Wars characters to disc golf discs, and I compared the Turbo Putt to Jar Jar Binks, and I still stick firm with that now that I've thrown it. It's one of those things you just can't quite figure out why it's in existence, but it's there, but there's always somebody that loves it. There's always somebody that swears by it, and as hard as you try, you want to like it, but you just can't. But it's fun to have. I'm glad I've got it. I'll probably hang it up on my wall now that I've thrown it a few times. But it's definitely a piece of disc golf history, and I won't go into the history there. But it's pretty interesting to look up. So I'd recommend you look it up. I can't recommend purchasing one, but it's kind of neat. It's good to know about.
This is a first for the Zen Disc Golf podcast, a review where he recommends not buying it, checking it out, but not buying it. Okay. All right. Well, so buy it
anyone
used.
Out there, if any of the listeners have thrown this, I'd like to hear what you think of it. I've talked to a number of people, but it's always fun to hear what people think of it because people have so many different experiences with this disc. So I'd really like to hear what everyone else thinks about it.
Well, when you were before the show, when you were talking, Tim had a little side story to the whole Quest thing. Why don't you chime in there, Tim, and tell us what you were saying about that?
Well, Quest is a business that's actually local to me, and they used my home course when they first started out. You should see some of the discs that were their first discs. They were these 2-piece discs with like rubber on the outside and hard clear plastic on the inside. And if they hit a tree, they'd pop apart into 2 pieces. So they would do all of their testing at our home course, and so you'd go out to the course in the morning, and the course would just be littered with discs. And when they first started doing it, everybody's like, "Oh wow, there's discs everywhere. This is really cool." And then they realized why they were still all out on the course. So, no, people would pick them up and throw them, and then they would just kind of leave them again. So it's not really surprising too much that Quest isn't. I don't think they're around anymore. They used to make a ton of discs, and they kind of took over the gas stations in the local area. But I don't think they're making discs anymore. And with discs like the Turbo Putt, I can kind of see why.
Now, I want to make a mention. I don't want anyone to think that I hate Quest, because there's actually a couple of decent discs they've made, and the furthest drive that I had ever thrown up until this year was somewhere around 475, 480. I'd thrown with a Raging Inferno. At that time, I think it was the second Raging Inferno, so it was the one where Quest and Gateway were partnered together, and I just bombed that thing. So I'm fond of some of the Quest discs, so don't think I just hate Quest discs, but the Turbo Putt is something special.
That's cool. I wanted to talk real quick about we've talked about a couple bags on here, and I wanted to talk about Infinite Discs Large Bag, which is a bag I've been using now for, I'd say about, 8 months. And when we started getting away from doing all discs for the product reviews, it was one of the first things I thought to go ahead and review, because it has been tried and true for me. I really do like the large bag. It's sort of like the Innova large bag, but it has some extra pockets on both sides, extra zippered pockets, and it does have the little mini pocket on the front with a little pencil pocket. Holds 18 to 22 discs. It says on their website it holds 2 putters. I've shoved 3-4 putters in there before, just on the outside, just because I'm too lazy to try to put them in the big pocket. But it's got a little scorecard pocket. It's got all kinds of stuff. It's a bag. It holds your discs, and it does a good job. I definitely recommend picking up a set of straps, because as we mentioned before, this game is a one-sided game, and you don't want to have 18 discs resting on the same shoulder every time. So definitely get you some double shoulder backpack straps for it. But it has been tried and true for me. I definitely recommend. I'm a huge Infinite Discs fan. If you know me, you know that me and Alan go back at least for a year now. Me working with them, and he sent me this bag, and it's the only thing I've used ever since. So let's go ahead and give some stuff away. Every podcast we give an item away to a random person who's left us a 5-star review either on Amazon for the book or iTunes for the podcast. And today I'm going to be giving away, we mentioned Vibram earlier, a Vibram Onyx, which is one of their newer discs. And if you hold on just 1 second, I'll give you the flight numbers on that. It has a speed 8, glide 6, a turn -3, and a fade of 1. It's one of their newest out there, and I've been hearing a lot of good stuff. I haven't thrown one just yet, but I am a big Vibram fan, and I'm looking forward to putting this in somebody's hand. So this disc is going to be going out to Craig W., who left me a 5-star review for Zen and the Art of Disc Golf on Amazon. The subject of his review was a great book with an even greater lesson. And he says, I have nothing but glorious praise for this book. I personally have the audiobook and have purchased a copy for my brother. This is something that anyone into disc golf scene must read. It not only helped me on the course, but off it as well. I am the unfortunate bearer of a short fuse, and that can be a problem. The teachings in this book have gotten me to lengthen that fuse and even eliminate things that would otherwise light it. I like that metaphor there. It's pretty cool. This holds true on the course as well as off the course, as I find myself consciously calming down whenever the need arises. If I had a physical copy of the book, it would be filled with highlights and dog ears. With the amount of times that I have revisited the chapters just to reaffirm the lessons, combined with the podcast, Patrick McCormick has created a Zen philosophy that I can understand and bring into my life. So, Craig W., thank you so much for your review. It's my pleasure, and email me at zendiscgolf@gmail.com, and I'd love to send you this new Vibram Onyx. It should be a pretty awesome disc. Okay, so does anybody have anything else they'd like to discuss?
Just to kind of tie it all together, yoga is just one aspect of what I do, and I run online health and fitness groups, and I really help anybody at any level of their fitness journey, and I can do that. We do it all online, so you don't have to live in the same community that I do. And I hope people find products and programs that are going to benefit them and help them reach their goals. I don't believe in diets or artificial supplements or anything like that. So I just try. We have a really strong community. If you're interested in that, just follow me on Facebook. I run free groups on Facebook all the time. I'm just trying to help as many people as possible in any capacity that I can. And it's really what I love to do. And I love connecting with other disc golfers out there and, helping them learn that they can start from anywhere. You don't have to be really fit. You don't have to be an athlete to benefit from or to get started with your journey. If you're wanting to improve your disc golf game, then you're going to have to improve your nutrition and your health overall, your lifestyle. And that's kind of what we wanted to promote with this video, and kind of take this a little bit off the course. That disc golf, even in the off season, and if you live somewhere where you can't play where all year long, you should still be. There's still things that you can do that are going to help you as soon as you step back out onto that course.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. Well, Megan and Garin, thank you all so much for being on the show today. And I definitely encourage y'all to go and check out their work. Check out Megan's yoga and fitness and health, and also check out Black Zombie from Garin. I'm going to be posting some of this on our social media. So if you're not following us on our social media, what are you doing? I mean, seriously.
Right. Well, hopefully you're on the course, but that's your only excuse.
So, a lot of URLs to throw at you, podcast listeners. Check out blackzombie.com. Check out megnancehealthandfitness.com, dgputtheads.com, mindbodydisc.com, and of course, I actually wrote it Zen Body Disc on my notes. I don't even know my own URL. Check out zendiscgolf.com for all of these URLs and more great podcasts and more guests. As this month goes on, we've already booked 2 more podcasts and 2 more great guests. I don't want to tell you who they are, but you won't be disappointed as we move forward. Everyone, thank you so much for meeting me nice and early here in the morning. It's 10 o'clock here, or was 10 o'clock here. Now it's 11:20, and it's hours earlier for you guys. So thank you so much for meeting me in the morning and doing these podcasts. Everyone appreciates it so much. We get such great reviews on the iTunes. Most importantly, though, everyone, get out there and throw.
If I can get the Turbo Putt review done by tomorrow for something to link to, but if not, doesn't really matter. I don't think many people are going to be buying it anyway.